Good evening, Ambassador Danon.
Good evening. Happy to be here.
And we'll pick up where Richard Heidemann left off. How was it to take all those ambassadors to the International March of the Living this time?
Well, it was very emotional. I'm leading a delegation of dozens of UN ambassadors. We started the trip in Poland. We marched from Auschwitz I to Birkenau. And they told me it changed their lives. You know, Elie Wiesel of blessed memory once said, you know, once you enter Auschwitz, you enter a different man. And I think that's what happened to them. First, I want to congratulate you for your birthday. Thank you. 65 years old. And I want to congratulate JNS for this amazing conference. You know, I just concluded a meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu and the delegation, and he's preparing to come also to address this crowd, and I think he put up an amazing conference. Yishar koach.
Thank you. Do you think it really has an impact taking these ambassadors to Poland?
Absolutely. You know, when you deal with diplomacy, it's not boxing. It's not like a knockout that you win the fight in a minute. It's a marathon. You have to wake up every morning, engage, and educate. So I'll give you an example. Today we started the day, we went south to Kfar Aza, to the Nova Festival, you know, saw the atrocities. And once people are educated, when we'll go back to the UN, we will see the impact. It doesn't mean that they will all vote for us tomorrow morning. It's not going to happen. But slowly, you build alliances, you build friendships, and I'm optimistic about it.
What do you think, Mr. Ambassador, can be done against all these anti-Israeli moves at the United Nations?
Well, now we have President Trump, and we are very optimistic. I think the first thing that should be done is to apply personal sanctions against some of the bad actors in the international arena. I'll give you an example. I don't know if you heard about Francesca Albanese. Yeah, you can boo her. You can. And I think the U.S. and many here in the crowd are from the U.S. The U.S. should apply sanctions against her. She shouldn't be allowed entering the United States of America. She comes once a month to promote hate, to go to the universities. And, you know, she compared our Prime Minister, Netanyahu, to Hitler. And she compared your president to horrible leaders. That's unacceptable. And I expect the new administration to be stronger on this issue.
Do you think things are changing under the Trump administration? We still don't have a U.S. ambassador to the United Nations.
Well, you know me, Steve, for many years. You know, when I was in the Knesset, we worked together. I'm very honest. I was very disappointed that Ambassador designate Elie Stefanik is not coming. Let's be honest about it. She's great. And, but I'm sure that President Trump will elect a strong ambassador that will help me. We need that help. We need to stand together against those hostile forces, anti-Semites. You know, so far we're hearing good voices coming from the administration. You know, I think Secretary Rubio is doing a great job also. And I'm optimistic about that.
You know, I was checking that 70 years ago in a cabinet meeting, Ben-Gurion famously said, shmum. Why? And they were actually talking about Gaza. Why do we care about the United Nations?
So I think we should make the distinction. When Ben-Gurion said shmum, I think the meaning is that we should do what's good for Israel, period. That's it. Ignore everyone else. When I speak with my colleagues in the government, and I speak with them a lot, I tell them, you do what you have to do. I will handle the Security Council. I will handle the General Assembly. You know, take the right decisions in order to win this war, finish the job, bring back the hostages, and eliminate Hamas. And I think that's the meaning of shmum, that you take the right decisions and you don't care about what the UN will say after that. Regarding whether we should stay at the UN or not, I think we have to think about it very carefully, because you have other bad actors, without naming names, because I'm a diplomat now, that will be very happy if the US will pull out completely from the UN. So I think the US should look at what they want to do, what they are doing with the funds over there, but demand some reforms. And you know that we have many issues with the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres. By the way, 18 months after October 7th, Secretary General Guterres hasn't visited Israel yet. Can you believe it? You know, the UN was established 80 years ago after World War II and the horrors of the Holocaust. And look what happened here. You know, in one day, 1,300 people were murdered, and he ignored it. But in a year's time, we will have elections, and I think, and I hope that the U.S. will be more than involved in electing a new Secretary General for the UN.
Ambassador, you're actually the only ambassador who was in the position and was called back to do the position again. First ambassador in Israeli history to do that. As we were walking in, someone said to you, "You have the worst job in the world." What's it like?
Well, I have to be honest that I never planned coming back. And excuse me, all my friends from New York, you know, it's not that, you know, the great Jewish community in New York. But, you know, 5 long years at the UN, you know, we finished it. We went back to Israel. I got re-elected to the Knesset. And I said, that's it. You know, I will come to visit my friends in New York, but I will never step into the United Nations. But October 7th changed all of our lives. And when Prime Minister called me and told me that he wants me to go back, because now is a time when my experience can be, in essence, I couldn't say no. I told him yes, but. The but was I have to speak with my wife, you know, to relocate the family back to New York. But I think it was the right decision because, you know, experience means a lot. So today when we handle all those hypocrites and the people who incite against us in the Security Council, in the General Assembly, I know how to handle them. And I think today we have support. And the fact that I'm here with 30 UN ambassadors that landed in Israel during a wartime, I think it speaks a lot. We are not alone. Sometimes we think that everyone is against us. It's not the case. We have allies. We have friends. They should be more vocal. They should speak up more, but we are not alone.
How do you explain to these ambassadors, to the world, and to our audience here at JNS, where we're at this war?
So today when we woke up very early and we drove to the border with Gaza, we gave them a briefing with the IDF commanders, and we told them we haven't finished the job. Let's be honest about it. The fact that we still have hostages in Gaza, and when my colleagues at the UN asked me, Danny, we know when the war will end, we have to move on, we have to put a closure to this event. I told them it will not happen. We will not leave behind 59 hostages and move on. The war will not end with hostages in Gaza, period. And after that, we will make sure that Hamas is not capable of continuing taking advantage of the people in Gaza. So I think we achieved a lot, but we haven't finished the job. And I'm sure the Prime Minister will be here and will tell you. And I saw him, an hour ago, I saw that he's very determined about completing the mission.
How do you feel about the talks going on between the U.S. and Iran?
Well, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical because we know the Iranians, they lie all the time. They are master of deception. And I think if there will be a diplomatic agreement that they will decide to abandon their nuclear ambitions and they will decide not to continue with developing their ballistic missiles, we will be very happy. But frankly speaking, I'm very skeptical about them doing it. Only a few months ago, Iran sent dozens of ballistic missiles into Israel. So they crossed the line already. So I think we have the capabilities and we have strong leaders today. And I hope that the US and other democracies will understand that we should take that threat very serious. When a leader is threatening to exterminate the Jewish people, we better believe them 80 years after Auschwitz was liberated.
We have about 2 minutes left. Are you confident that we can expand the Abraham Accords to include other countries in the Middle East?
Absolutely. And look what happened in the last year. I'm very happy that United and Delta resumed their flights. But the only airline that flew 24/7 was Fly Dubai. And we should give them credit. And we have a strong bond with the UAE and Bahrain. And I used to meet my colleagues at the UN from the UAE, and we had to find secret locations to meet in the city. And today, look how many Israelis visit the UAE, and the strong bond we have despite the war. I'm very optimistic about it. I read, I cannot acknowledge it, that Syria wants to join the Abraham Accord. I'm sure we'll see something happening with the Saudis and other countries. And I'm sure President Trump, when I met him before the elections, he spoke only about Abraham Accords. That was his legacy. And I'm sure we will hear more from him about this issue.
Thank you. Ambassador Danon, I'd like to thank you on behalf of our audience and the people of Israel for all the good work that you do.
I wanna thank you, Steve. For me, I'm used to be in a big hall to be the only one supporting Israel. And here I am with 1,000 people, 1,000 ambassadors. I invite you all to have the next JNS conference in the hall of the United Nations. Thank you very much. Toda rabah.